Let's just adjust the lighting a little bit here. Nope. There we go. That's a little bit better. It's one of my favorite parts of doing online yoga is trying to follow along as everyone adjusts the camera, adjusts themselves. Unfortunately, the lighting is, I don't know. Hold on, there's one thing I can do with the lighting. And that did basically nothing. But we're working with the tools that we have. As you see today, I'm in a different location, a little bit different atmosphere. You know, I just felt like I needed a little bit of a change of scenery. And I think that's been something we've all been wrestling with, as we've been, sort of trapped either in lockdown or self-imposed quarantine over the past several months. The familiarity or the re-familiarity that we've had to create with ourselves, with our homes, with our families. It's certainly given me a new appreciation for all of those things in my life, but at the same time, it's also been very trying to consistently be able to find the good parts inside of me to give. I'm a person who likes solitude, and sometimes over the past several months, it's been really hard to find time to be alone. And that's another thing that's really been beneficial about my yoga practice and my meditation practice. And I think it all comes down to this idea of resilience. And, I'm a teacher. I teach university classes at Rutgers in New Jersey. And a lot of my work focuses on media and popular culture. And I love using films, TV shows, music, things like that to illustrate ideas. So take a look at my shirt here. So one of the more controversial forms of popular culture, of course, is professional wrestling. Now, this is the Shockmaster. Okay, as you see, he's got his little glittery Star Wars helmet on. And even if you're not a fan of professional wrestling, I think you can relate to this story. So in 1993, Fred Ottman, he was big in one wrestling organization and he was transitioning into another. And there were all these plans made for him. He was going to come in as a big superstar as the Shockmaster. And he was going to come in with this mask on. It's essentially just a stormtrooper mask from Star Wars with glitter all over it. And, the stage was set. They were going to introduce him on a TV show. And the plan was for him to burst through a wall, make a big explosion, literally and figuratively, and all of a sudden he would be a top guy, right? He'd be wrestling some of the biggest names in the business. Well, they practiced it, everything went fine before the actual TV show, and then when they were live, he burst through the wall and he fell forward on his face. His helmet fell off. It ruined the secret, the surprise of who he was, kind of made him look a little foolish, and this big, powerful character that was supposed to be created, it was now more of a joke. So Fred Ottman, as I mentioned, the man behind the character, years later, and as you could say, if you're interested in just checking this out for pure humor, you could check it out on YouTube. The whole scenario is there. But years later in interviews, Fred would go on to say that experience taught him what it meant to be resilient, because he easily could have gotten embarrassed, thrown in the towel, quit, went home. But he decided to make the best of it and then use that moment. Sometimes he said he would send the clip to people in the internet age. And if they were having a bad day, he'd ask them to watch it and help them feel better. And I think, it's really instructive because pop culture and our own personal experiences, we can use them to illustrate ideas of resilience and how sometimes we have to fall in order to get back up again. So today's practice, I want to begin here on the mat. Take a deep breath in, deep breath out. Deep breath in, deep breath out. Just as we've been doing for the past few sessions, engage the spine nice and straight. Feel as if you can align from the back of your head, your crown, all the way to your tailbone, zipping straight down. But just sit there lovingly. Try not to put too much emphasis and arch in the back, or tendency here sometimes is to sort of crank your neck like this. There's a time for that. When we get to some cat cow, we can extend our necks. Right now, keep the chin nice and parallel to the floor. Just find a comfortable seat. Another deep breath in, deep breath out. And while I was looking for a change of scenery this week, I part of it was because I was feeling very anxious, and I think it's a combination of several things. And I wasn't feeling very resilient, and I started to practice Satali breath, and I found it to be very helpful. So sometimes when you're feeling over anxious, or you just need to wind down after a strenuous workout, this can be very helpful to cool the body and get to a more chill place. So let's start by curling the tongue if you can. I have the recessive gene and I cannot do this, but if you can, curl the tongue into a little taco shape. And you want to breathe in through your mouth. And then you're going to exhale through your nose with a little sound in the back of your throat, just like this. Okay, one more time. Okay, now I want you to take your hands, put the thumbs and the pinkies together, and make a flower shape in front of your face, okay? And this time, when we breathe deeply in through the mouth and exhale deeply through the nose, we're going to put all that stress and anxiety here in the flower, okay? We want to empty it, but preserve it, because life is like a battery. It runs off positive and negative energy. And so our job is to preserve that negative energy and turn it around and make it into something beautiful. Okay? So if you're comfortable, close your eyes, and we'll do this a few times together. In through the mouth. Hold for 1, 2, and now exhale through the nose with the sound in the back of your throat. And now keep doing this about 10 times and find a pattern that's nice and comfortable for you. Feel the whole body inflate, stomach, chest, and empty all of that breath out into the flower. Lick your lips if you have to. Mouth can be a little dry here. And 2 more times. Now let's lower our wrists, palms up to our knees in a gesture of mudra receptivity, and just find a normal pattern of breath here. Hopefully we're feeling a little calmer. Hopefully the anxiety, if it's there, has been eliminated slightly. And remember, just because you face anxiety doesn't mean that you aren't resilient. I want today, if you don't have an intention already in mind, I want to invite you to practice my intention, which is to look for ways that I am resilient in my life, to be aware of them, and also cultivate new ways of being resilient. How am I not being resilient? What tools do I have to make me more resilient? These are some of the questions that we want to explore. And when I think of resilience, I often think of animals. So I want to start today by swinging your feet down to the back of the mat, and let's think about fish. Fish swim in schools. They have community. Fish swim against currents. Fish are some of the most resilient animals that we can pattern our practice after, and it's only right that we honor them in our poses. So, when you're ready, begin on your back. Let me just get into frame here. Okay. Begin on your mat like this, knees bent, feet planted. You want to feel all four corners of the feet. Lift up the toes, feel the heels. Bring the toes forward, heels up. Feel those corners of the feet. Place them about hip distance apart. Right about there. And spin your inner thighs down towards the floor. So just kind of give them a nice tug over to the side, just to wake them up a little bit. You could even pat the back of the hamstrings here, just to kind of wake them up. Rub just a little bit like this. Feel a little bit of activation. Feel your hands on your legs or your yoga pants, whatever you might be wearing. If you're practicing at home, maybe you're just nude, and that's perfectly fine as well. Whatever makes you feel comfortable. Remember, that's what we're going for. Okay, so pressing down with the feet, lift the hips up without letting the knees splay open. So keep the knees nice and straight, pointed towards the ceiling. Tendency here might be to sort of open up a little bit and let the lower back drop, but you want to keep the knees, as I said, straight towards the ceiling, feet engaged on the mat. And you want to lift your lower back up from your torso. So try not to wrench, but just hold a nice straight line here, almost like an inversion of the plank pose form, where you're still using your hips as if you were on a puppet string to pull yourself up. Here, feel that puppet string from your pelvic region and also engage the core. Okay, so when you feel comfortable with your knees up, place your hands on the floor, palms down, and your thumbs touching. So, like this, or if it's more comfortable, a diamond shape. Bring the big toes to touch, and bring the heels slightly together. Adjust your pants if you need to. And you want to tuck your outer shoulders underneath. So you should feel that you're trying to bring your shoulder blades together, almost kind of melting that back body into one. Thumbs engaged, gripping, clawing a little bit into the mat like you would if you were in downward dog. Just feel the mat with all 10 fingers. And when you're ready, straighten the right leg, Straighten the left leg. And as best as you can, keep that lift, that puppet string. Feel it coming from the pelvic region straight towards the ceiling. And bring the neck gently up off the floor, keeping it nice and straight. And keep the eyes looking straight up at the ceiling. It's okay if this is a little difficult. As you see, I'm not most proficient at it, but we're getting there. We're going to keep working on it. We're just trying to wake up the body a little bit here, try to engage the arms underneath you, engage the neck, the shoulder, the back body. Take a deep breath in, out. Let's hold it for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Slowly release the hands. Bring the backside down. Should feel a little bit heat, a little sweat, a little tapas through your body there. You're just waking up the body to that discipline that we're cultivating over time. And that's one of the beautiful things about fish pose, Matsyasana, is it can engage the entire body. When you're ready, bring yourself up. Give yourself a light stretch. Inhale, right arm behind, looking over the right shoulder. Exhale, back to center. Inhale, left arm behind, right hand to left knee. Remember, try to keep that spine engaged, nice and straight. Breathe in. Exhale, back to center. Okay, and now let's move into half lord of the fish pose, or Ardha Matsyendrasana. Did I say that right? Ardha Matsyendrasana. There we go. All right. So let's bring the right knee we're going to work towards it. So let's bring the right knee up, left leg remains straight. And just like we twisted on the other side a few seconds ago, let's bring the left elbow to the right knee and ask it to help us twist a little bit deeper than we did. So breathe in, and then exhale a little bit deeper into that twist. Hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Back to center. All right, now let's take this. Let's take the left leg and almost as if with the left leg that you're coming into pigeon, bring it underneath, maintaining the flat footing of the right foot. Okay. Just take a second here, find your spine, find the right foot. The idea is to have the ankle on the back of the left knee. So right ankle to left knee here, just for a little bit of support, but you don't want to rely too much on that knee. Right foot flat, again, feeling all 4 corners engaged in the mat. Give yourself a second here with the straight back. Deep breath in. Exhale. Bringing that left arm, left elbow to right knee, left hand straight, almost as if you're waving. You're doing a royal wave, if you will. Deep breath in and hold for 10, 9, keeping that back straight, that spine straight. 7, 6, it's okay if you shake a little bit here. 4, 3, 2, 1, and exhale, let go. All right, bring the feet out straight one more time. Flex those toes. They feeling a little bit looser in the legs. Feel what's tight. Maybe it's the ankles, maybe it's the toes, maybe you had a long day on your feet. Maybe it's your knees, maybe you have some sensitivity. If half fish is not good for you because you do have some sensitivity, that's perfectly fine. You can just remain in a regular twist, or you can just remain in a staff pose, which is where we're going to meet later anyway. Okay, just like we did before, let's reverse. Keeping that right leg, the thigh, grounded. Tendency here when we ground the thigh is to raise the right heel off the mat, but try to keep both engaged as best as possible. So try to keep the right thigh grounded, the right calf grounded, and the right heel grounded with the toes flexed straight up at the ceiling. Bring the left leg over, and same thing as we did on the other side. Find that grounding with all 4 corners of the foot. Deep breath in. And give it a nice stretch. Remember, keeping that spine straight. Tendency here might be to fall a little bit on the back arm. Keep that arm extended. Fingers ground into the mat. And exhale, back to center. Now keeping that bent, the left leg bent. Bring that right leg into that sort of modified fish position that we talked about earlier. And again, now opposite ankle on opposite knee. Again, you don't want to be too reliant on that relationship, too reliant on the knee supporting the ankle, because you want to keep that left foot grounded. And also you want to make sure that the left leg is not falling this way. You don't want to have it sort of with the knee begging for the floor. You want the knee to be as straight as possible, straight up towards the ceiling. Okay? So, deep breath in. Left arm up. Right arm back. And here, maintain your royal wave. Straight spine. Knee, bent knee that's facing straight up to the ceiling remains nice and straight. Deep breath in. Exhale a little bit deeper into the stretch, keeping everything nice and engaged. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Deep breath in. Exhale it out. And come back to center. Today I'm feeling a little bit of a tension in my right knee. As I mentioned in an earlier video, I'm a runner, so sometimes I have a little bit of runner's knee. But over time, I've learned too that that's not the best idea, especially to pair with my yoga practice, because I tend to get tighter on days that I do run. Following day when I do yoga, I tend to feel tighter, less flexible, less resilient. So I think for me, resilience is also about knowing the body and not knowing limitations in a way that prevents us from doing things, but knowing limitations in a way that presents opportunities to do things differently. That being said, let's engage just as we did before. Let's engage both thighs down. Try to engage both calves down and both heels down, toes pointed straight to the ceiling. Bring the left arm right underneath the sit bone, right arm underneath the sit bone. And just as we did before, I'm going to push up. So you don't want to be crouched over like this with your arms bent. You want to be engaging the palms, the fingertips into the mat, and you want your arms nice and straight. And do your best here to inhale, get your spine nice and straight while you're engaging the bottom half of your body. Look forward. And then when you exhale, try to bend forward slightly, but don't arch the back. Keep the back nice and straight and bend forward from the pelvic region, right? So imagine that fulcrum where your hips are going straight forward like this, not bending like this with your back. Okay. Remember, engage the hands and exhale forward. Try to make sure that the heels don't come off the mat here. Hold for 10, 9, finding a breath that feels natural here. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, and if from staff pose, if you feel like you can go a little bit more forward, feel free. But remember, you're still bending from the pelvic region, not hunched over the back. I have a tendency to do that myself a lot because I'm so used to typing like that when I'm writing or, you know, using the internet for a myriad of things that we all use the internet for. And maybe today it feels good for you to just sit like this. Maybe it feels good for you to keep your hands on the thighs. Maybe you do feel like you can reach the ankles, keeping the back as straight as possible. Maybe you feel like you can reach the toes. This is as far as I can go right now with my practice, and I'm okay with that. I know that if I can at some point bend all the way forward and reach my forehead to my knees, it's going to be because of a resilient practice that's a smart practice. But I'm more concerned with the journey about how I try to get there. So let's go forward as much as you can. Grab the feet, grab the heels if you feel like you're able. Try and keep that back as straight as possible. It's okay if you shake here. Let's hold it for 10. Nice steady breath in and steady breath out. 9. In, out. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release. Coming straight back. You want to feel like you're unraveling here. So as slow and as deliberate as possible. It's one of the other great things about our yoga practice is it helps us deliberately get in touch with our bodies. And if you've noticed today, we're moving purposely very slow, very deliberate, because knowledge, in that incremental knowledge, is where we find resilience, I truly believe. Okay, so let's come back to staff pose. Straighten out the back. Flex the neck back. Bring those shoulders down, keeping the arms as straight as possible. Staring straight up at the ceiling. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. All right, now I invite you to come back to your backs on the mat. Let's bring the right leg up, hug it into the body. As you hug it in, maybe you feel a little bit of release or a little pinch in the upper right knee here, or I'm sorry, the upper right thigh. Just be aware of that and notice if you flex your left toes towards the ceiling, keeping the entire bottom of the left leg engaged on the mat, and you raise the right toes to the ceiling, what changes in that little section where your thigh meets your hip? What's different about that feeling when you are grounded and when you're not grounded? And if you're not grounded, how do you get back to being grounded? Exhale, release the leg back to the ground, and now let's switch. Inhale, left leg to chest. Now first, like I said, let's stay nice and loose and just pull that left leg in. And when you're ready, engage the right leg, the bottom of it down all the way, as if the whole thing from your glute into your heel was glued to the floor. Engage those left toes straight up to the ceiling and pull the leg to the chest. How does that change? If you've ever had an injury, a leg injury, how is the way you're experiencing this now different than the way that you would have before? Deep breath in. All right. And now, as easily as we can, let's bring both legs up, hover heels off the ground. You can keep your hands engaged in the mat. Leg lift. Try to keep the bottom. See, a tendency here to kind of aid in the leg lift is to arch the back like this to give us extra support, but do your best to keep the back flat. And hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring the legs in together. And now this time, let's come up and give a nice hug. So how is this different when we squeeze both legs together and we bring our forehead to meet them? Try to engage the core as you do this. And then maybe rock a little bit back and forth. Feel a massage on your back. Just find a nice steady breath. Notice how minutely I'm rocking. I'm not trying to rock all the way where I might tumble over to one side. I just want to lightly kiss my lower back. How does it feel to move so gingerly that you're barely moving at all? All right, let's bring feet to the mat, back as flat as possible. Just windshield wiper the legs back and forth. As you move from one side to the other, feel the change in your lower back as one side of your back moves off the mat, the other lifts. All right, and pause with an exhale. And now let's heel toe, keeping the knees together. Let's heel toe the feet to the edge of the mat on either side. And let the knees rub and fall to the left side. Arms extended up and over into a T. And when the legs, the knees are pointed to the left, let's turn the head to the right and look over that right arm. Try to keep the arms in a T shape as straight as possible. So in other words, you don't want to have the left arm or the right arm higher than its opposite. Just feel that stretch through your abdominal, through the lower back. And if you can, cross that left leg over top the right leg. So the relationship that we talked about earlier with the ankle and knee when we were preparing for fish pose, try to see if you can put the left ankle on top of the right knee here as you supine twist. If you can't, if you feel like it's putting too much pressure on that right knee, it's okay. You can just move your legs, leave your feet on the floor, but give it a shot. Get to know your body and what it needs. Get to know how resilient your body can be. Deep breath in, and with an exhale, let's bring the feet back to the edge of the mat, knees touching. And we're just going to go to the opposite side this time. Adjust the hips slightly if you need to. And when the knees fall to the right, you want to look over the opposite left shoulder. What's the farthest point in the room you can see from this position? Is there a new perspective on the room, on the physical space that you're in? Maybe you're lying on the floor in your apartment and you're looking out the window and you see a different view of a neighboring building or a different view of the sky that you've never noticed before. And with a deep breath, take in that view and try to put your right ankle on your left knee. Have that knee to ankle relationship in a twist. And hold for 10. Finding your own peaceful breath. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Deep breath in. Exhale it out. Bring the hands back to the mat. Feet again, hip width apart. Knees straight to the ceiling, so not folded on one another like we just were, but all four corners of the feet grounded. Knees straight at the ceiling, hip width apart, like I said. And now try to bring your shoulders underneath you as much as you can. So see what I did there? I was laying flat, my shoulders, my back completely on the mat, and with a little deep, little inward breath, just tuck them underneath. And when you're ready, we're going to push away from the mat with our feet. And remember that puppet string pulling our pelvis. So try not to pull from any part of the body, but imagine you're being pulled right from here. So engage your core and your hips and let that be the device that brings you forward. 1, 2, 3. Slowly. Okay. Deep breath in. Exhale. And try to tuck your shoulders in a little bit more. Bring your palms together. And we're going to move into a bridge now. So try to lock the hands, whatever feels more comfortable. I know I like my right thumb on top. So bring the fingers together, tuck those shoulders. Puppet string still pulling your pelvis, your abdomen straight up. And when you're ready, deep breath in. And exhale the arms straight. And here, engage all four corners of the feet to the mat. Puppet string pulls the pelvis straight up. Shoulders melting into the mat, melting together into one at the back of the body. Palms linked, and your fingers, imagine they're pulling straight down to your feet. Chin slightly tucked to the chest, looking straight up at the ceiling. Find a nice inward breath here in. Exhale. Find a nice pattern of breath that works for you. Keep everything as engaged as possible. Try not to let yourself dip this. Stay nice and engaged for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Deep breath in and let it go. Bring your bottom to the mat. Release your shoulders. Palms up. Take in everything that the universe has to give you in this beautiful moment that we're sharing together. Extend the right leg out. Let it touch, let it kiss the floor softly. Let that heel rest in its beauty. Inhale and exhale that left heel down to meet it. And let's come into Savasana. Let's try to focus on that beautiful array of colors when you close your eyes. Some people call it a grayish color. I tend to see little spots of purple and red in there. They're more prominent than the gray. Just bathe in the vastness of what you see when you close your eyes. Let whatever sound is in the room with you slowly keep you safe. And just take a few minutes here for yourself. And when you're ready, just return to the sounds in the room that were lulling you to rest. Just hear them, let them in, let them into your mind, let them become one pattern with your breath and your heartbeat. Let whatever smells infiltrate your nose. Feel, feel the aura in the room. Is it heavy? Is it soft? Begin to wiggle your toes. Begin to wiggle your fingers. Feel that swallow in your throat. You know, I've noticed whenever I'm in Savasana or meditating, I tend to have a strange sensation in my mouth as if I'm hungering or if I'm tasting, I guess that's a better way to say it, I'm tasting beauty and some kind of small dose of enlightenment and my mouth starts to water. I tend to swallow more. I'm very fascinated by the biological and physiological reactions that yoga and meditation give us. And when you're acquainted again with all those feelings, open your eyes, bring your attention back to the ceiling, walls, the light. And with a deep breath, exhale over to one side. Go into a nice fetal position. Remember all the times you felt safe, sleeping so comfortably, as if nothing could wake you or shake you. And with another deep breath, gently push yourself up. Let's come back to the seated position at which we began today. And let's return to our lotus flower. Did I call it a tulip earlier? I meant to say lotus. If I did. If I didn't, then disregard that completely. But let's return to our flower. So if you remember, we started today by breathing out all of our anxieties into this flower. And again, like I said, we are not trying to let go of them completely. We want to let go of them from our bodies, but we want to preserve them and learn from them. So whenever you feel anxious, whenever you feel tired, whenever you feel like the world is too much for you, whether it's in your personal life or whether you feel hopeless over what's going on in society, remember your flower. You can always breathe the things that you want to learn from those anxieties into the flower and return to them at another point. They don't have to rule you. They don't have to own you. They can just be observances. And all you have to do, just like breath, is be aware of them and the gifts that they're giving you. So let's close up that flower. I bring nice and securely, holding everything inside, everything that's beautiful, everything that's difficult inside. Bring the prayer hands to chest. Let's take in one more deep breath together as we bring our hands up to the third eye. Hold it. And just remember that you are resilient, you are strong. And exhale. And as we bow the head, namaste. Well, thank you for letting me share this very, hopefully, relaxing practice with you. For me, to be able to share it with you has been incredibly instructive. It's funny because I don't know if you could tell at the beginning of the video, but I felt very, very anxious, feeling very tight. I've been feeling lost, but after practicing with you now, I feel like maybe I don't necessarily have everything that I need to have figured out right now, but I'm getting there. And like I said multiple times, I'm confident in that journey, and I'm confident that in finding my own resilience over time, I will better work towards the person that I want to become. And I thank my yoga practice, I thank you, and I thank our community for enabling that kind of strength to be born. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video.